Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Tales of Herding God Part 205 based on novel. So let's start. Cultivating at this speed. I'm afraid that in a few days, my cultivation of the devil path will catch up to the god path. A number of experts were searching him, having formed into groups for their hunt. There were also quite a few devil experts that had seen Qin Mu from afar, but hadn't paid any attention. They had no idea that the fellow that was even more devilish than them could be the Qin Mu they were searching for. Qin Mu's road had no obstructions as he continued to head east. After walking for some 6-7 days, a spot of light suddenly appeared in the sky. He raised his head and saw that light growing larger and larger, brighter and brighter. A round sun took shape above him and brought some light to the devil territory. Overjoyed, Qin Mu let out a sigh of relief. This sun is round and not flat. Imperial Preceptor is truly remarkable. He looked at the location where the sun was rising and examined his shadow on the ground. He sprinted another 20 miles and calculated the angle of the shadow. I'm over 10,000 miles away from where the sun rose. Fu Riluo indeed has remarkable abilities, to be able to kidnap me so far away. The sun in the sky was round, and he had the feeling of clouds having parted to reveal clear blue sky. His mood instantly improved. Suddenly, a god city rose in front of him. There were numerous devils walking to and fro around it. Groups of devils and horses searched in all directions, stopping even the devils crossing to check their identity. Qin Mu frowned slightly and decided to take a detour. Yet the clattering of hooves reached him, and a group of devils rushed over, having seen him from afar. Halt! Qin Mu stopped, and the rider in the lead looked at him. He then shook his head, saying, "It's not who we're looking for, let's continue." The next moment, he rushed away with the other devil divine arts practitioners. Qin Mu let out a sigh of relief, but a familiar voice came from behind him. "You brat, I still need a retainer. Come here, be my retainer." Slightly stunned, Qin Mu looked toward the source of the voice. He saw a youth carrying a demon knife on his back a short distance away from him. It was none other than Jawali. Qin Mu walked over, and the demon eye on the hilt of the demon knife suddenly opened. It swirled till it became crimson, then stared at him excitedly. After a moment, the demon eye closed. Jawali walked over and said, "Follow me." Qin Mu hurriedly did as told, and Jawali brought him to the east, leaving the god city behind them. There were numerous posts of inspection, but when the devils saw Jawali, they didn't ask anything. When they were 100 miles to the east of the city, Jawali stopped and said indifferently, "You can continue to head east." Qin Mu heading forward according to his words. Soon, he felt a pair of eyes landing on his body. Like two knives stabbing into him. His muscles went stiff, then twitched twice and shattered the knife will. When it shattered, it actually gave off crisp clinks. "It is you," Jawali said from behind him. Qin Mu scattered the devil chi around him and said with a smile, "Jawali, your knife skills have improved a lot." The young man's gaze had been like a knife, which gave Qin Mu no choice but to shatter it. After Li City, Jawali's knife skills had obviously improved by leaps and bounds. Brother Qin escaping from enveloping city, and even surviving the crossing through the ominous land is truly astonishing. After the parting in Li City, I examined your sword skill in detail. Opening Calamity sword skill is truly strong, but I also have my own comprehension, Jawali said indifferently. I won't let you die in the hands of other people, only I can kill you. All the disciples of the devil gods in Supreme Emperor Heaven are looking for you. Don't die on the way. Much thanks. Qin Mu bowed. Jawali didn't accept it, and just left in a flash. Qin Mu looked at his back that was leaving, then suddenly asked, Jawali, don't you want to show me your master's knife skill? Jawali stopped and turned his head back to say, no, I want you to see my knife skills. Qin Mu smiled and said leisurely, when you told me you want to let me see Luo Wushuang's knife skills, I knew you were not my opponent. That's because the knife skills belonged to Luo Wushuang and not you. No matter how perfect you cultivated them, they will still belong to Luo Wushuang. Now you want me to see your knife skills, so you finally have the right to be my opponent. All right, I'll wait for you. Jawali left, but his voice still reached Qin Mu. Don't die. Master Fu Riluo has declared a bounty for you, and numerous disciples of devil gods are waiting on the road in front for you. This fellow is much cuter than his master Luo Wushuang. His knife skills have improved a lot as well, advancing at a godly speed. Qin Mu saw him off and felt a heavy pressure settle on him. His muscles trembled, and he shattered the knife wool from Jawali's eyes. There were even crisp cracking sounds, as though the man's gaze had materialized. Such speed was very terrifying. Jawali's improvement on his knife path was extremely great, and he had the corporeal body and primordial spirit of a young true god. If he entered the extreme boundary of his knife skills, it would be impossible for Qin Mu to defeat him. He had already stepped into the boundary of his knife skills, so if he took another step forward, he would create his own knife skill, like how Qin Mu had created Calamity Sword. He would also found his own knife skills, and they would be close to the path. The reason Jawali improved at such a godly speed was because of the pressure he felt from Qin Mu. But now the tables had turned. It was Qin Mu's turn to feel pressured by Jawali. The weakest point of my corporeal body is that I'm training all parts separately. My hands are hands, legs are legs, eyes are eyes, and heart is heart. I can't unify all of the power into one. If I could do that, my corporeal body would not be any weaker than those so-called young true gods and young true devils. I would even be stronger than them. Qin Mu headed toward the sun while thinking. The reason Jawali, Yu He, and the rest had such strong corporeal bodies was because the techniques they cultivated had been imparted to them by gods and devils. These techniques had gone through years of refinement, and could train every aspect of the body to the extreme. Jawali, Yu He, and the rest of the young experts didn't need to think why their technique had to be circulated in a certain way, just to cultivate it according to the instruction. This was enough for their corporeal bodies to reach an extremely high realm. However, it was different for Qin Mu. He had only learned the first technique of Overlord Body 3 Elixir technique from Village Chief. It had only techniques, but no skills or divine arts. He mixed and matched, fusing a whole bunch when he had the chance. Good and bad came out from it, but in the end, his Overlord Body 3 Elixir technique was king of rubbish. It was like the clothes of a beggar which were filled with holes and had to be mended frequently. Later, he had learned great educational heavenly devil scriptures and comprehended unity technique. He then realized from Qin Hanjin that they were the skills of Overlord Body 3 Elixir technique. Only at that time could Qin Mu's technique be considered to have taken shape. When he received the True Dragon's Nest and merged the technique of the True Dragon Lord with Overlord Body 3 Elixir technique, the latter was patched up in a lot of places. Yet there were too many patches. Fist skills were fist skills, leg skills were leg skills, and divine eyes were divine eyes. Ultimately, it was still the problem of his technique that had caused his corporeal body to be inferior to those of Yu He, Jawali, and the rest. It was even slightly inferior to that of Sang Hua. His thinking was all over the place. He could come up with things that others couldn't and think what others didn't dare to think. He wasn't restrained by tradition, so he was able to create Primordial Spirit Guide, the 18th Sword Form, Secrets of 3 Primordial Spirit Assembly, and all kinds of other strange techniques and divine arts. It was also why he could create such a huge artifact, like Spirit Energy Mutual Shift Bridge, to connect the two worlds together. However, it was also because his thinking was everywhere that his technique was lacking. I've already settled the problem of my sword skill entering the path. I just need to comprehend along the lines of Calamity Sword. Now the problem is about how to make my technique enter the path. Qin Mu stopped, his expression turned blank. He went into a daze. Suddenly, his vital chi flowed out and quickly formed his spirit embryo divine treasure in front of him. It showed up with all details, and even the sun and moon were constructed. Next, his vital chi flow spread outwards, raising metal, wood, water, fire, and earth stars. The spirit platform expanded into a large field and established the 6 directions. The 5 stars and the sun and the moon orbited around each other. With this as the foundation, Qin Mu's fingers came together, and he refined his chi into a thread to surround his spirit embryo, 5 elements, 6 directions, constructing the circulation path of his vital chi continuously. After a moment, he had an incomparably complicated network of his vital chi circulation. It resembled blood vessels surrounding the 3 great divine treasures to form the shape of a human body. There was the path of circulation of his Overlord Body 3 elixir technique. His technique was extremely complicated, which was why the network he had constructed was also extremely complicated. Qin Mu measured and fixed some places that had mistakes. Next, his vital chi flowed out to create his bones and organs before creating the flesh, blood, tendons, and blood vessels in the incomparably complicated human body network. His 5 fingers spread open, and the human body in front of him became 10 yards tall. It was incomparably clear. As Qin Mu walked around it, he got rid of the overlapping branches and combined some paths of circulation, making his Overlord Body 3 elixir technique less complicated. Then, he examined it thoroughly and added some paths where his vital chi circulation couldn't reach when he was training his corporeal body. The more places he fixed, the more paths he removed. Qin Mu became more and more excited. His spirit embryo was moving quickly throughout his body to survey its structure, as he was continuously tweaking the vital chi human body. After a long time, his spirit embryo returned to his divine treasure, and sat on the spirit platform. Qin Mu's hands separated, and the flesh, blood, and bones of the vital chi human body dispersed one after another. Only the vital chi network, and the structure of 3 great divine treasures remained. His devil vitality then flew out and constructed the spirit embryo divine treasure of the devil path, corresponding to spirit embryo divine treasure. With the 2 as reflections of one another, he continued to modify. When he felt they were perfect, Qin Mu executed this new Overlord Body 3 elixir technique that had undergone a complete revamp by him. He carefully experienced what was lacking when he circulated it, and did modifications on the vital chi human body. He tried continuously to make his technique even more perfect. His vital chi circulation gradually became less complicated and more effective. After the improvements, it could refine basically every corner of his corporeal body. My technique is still not perfect enough. In regards to the circulation of the devil vitality, there are still many places that can be improved. The vital chi circulation in the divine eyes is also another extremely complicated matter. After trying everything out, he discovered numerous places in which he was lacking. He cared for nothing but improving himself at that moment. Qin Mu. Suddenly a few devils took notice of him from afar. One of them laughed loudly in delight. "We've traveled far and wide to look for you only to find you easily. Today is the day when I, Tu or Shu, shall claim my achievement. Qin Mu, fight me." Qin Mu paid him no attention, his 10 fingers moving up and down as he improved the network of the vital chi human body while continuing to move forward. Tu or Shu frowned and flew up. 2 huge black wings spread out, and he flew over while flapping them. Qin Mu didn't notice at all. Tuoshu cried out and came to only dozens of yards in front of the youth. Suddenly, he flipped around, and countless feather swords flew out from his wings, all aimed at Qin Mu. Disciple of devil god Xiao Qi, Azura Division Tuoshu, much obliged. Tuoshu announced his name, but he saw that Qin Mu's footsteps did not change in the least, and he also paid no attention to the feather swords. However, when they came to his side, he suddenly moved in a peculiar manner and avoided the countless feather swords. The devil's sword skills actually couldn't hurt him at all. Whoosh! Qin Mu passed by, his eyes still focused on the network of the vital Qi human body in front of him. His vision was filled with vigor, and his 5 fingers were gently raised. The network of the vital Qi human body dispersed, leaving only the 2 networks of the divine eyes formation formed by the vital Qi. In the center of the network was a cluster of stars. The sun was in the center, and the outer layer was the system of formation markings of the heavens. This was the divine eyes technique that Blind had created by fusing his 9 heavens eyes awakening skill with Zi Qing's number 1 divine eyes. Qin Mu's spirit was highly stimulated, and he was highly concentrated on improving the path of his vital Qi circulation, so he paid no attention to Tuoshu who he had just passed. Tuoshu's wings were like knives with which he slashed repeatedly. His body flipped and tumbled as he used different techniques. Sometimes he swirled to slash horizontally while at other times he spun like a top. His knife skills were incomparably intricate. Feather changed into swords, and the devil danced around Qin Mu. His sword skills were also extremely intricate. Devil god Xiao Qi was known as Knife and Sword Absolute. As a disciple, Tuoshu was also cultivating both knife and sword. However, Qin Mu's body twisted, and his footsteps became more strange. He walked out of Tuoshu's range of attack, before the other could even manage to land a hit. The devil couldn't help becoming stunned. The other devils rushed over, and they all attacked together. They were all experts and proud disciples that the devil gods had diligently taught. One devil roared fiercely and transformed into a magma giant. Devil flames surrounded him, and balls of devil fire danced around his body. He punched, and the devil fire exploded with world-shaking power. Another devil divine arts practitioner had a devil dragon coiling around his body. It flew off him and danced here and there. In just a breath's time, it covered dozens of yards. When it breathed in and out, its attacks were strange and unpredictable. There was also an 8-clawed woman that spat out webs, which were incomparably sharp. She laid down a huge formation. After a moment, all of them were left in a daze. They couldn't touch Qin Mu at all. He had stepped into the spider threads and entered the killing formation, yet he avoided the relentless attacks of the spider lady and walked out like nothing, leaving the spider lady in a daze behind him. He then came face to face with the magma giant. Stepping on his fist, he walked up his arm to his face and left down his back. The devil expert that cultivated the devil dragon divine art didn't even manage to touch him, and just saw the excited human brat brushing past him. Cold sweat rolled down everyone's forehead. Tuoshu chased after Qin Mu who was in front of him while shouting sternly, "Inform the other experts." The magma giant gave a loud roar and punched his fist into the sky. A ball of devil fire exploded and transformed into a blazing devil eye that had an area of dozens of fields. Many devil experts in the distance were alarmed and all rushed over. In no time, 100 devil experts were chasing after Qin Mu, and one had a huge river surging in midair. It held the water of yellow springs refined into a spirit weapon. The river rushed at Qin Mu, but he stood on the tip of the river and got sent far away. Earthquake, heavenly stars. A strong devil practitioner raised his hands up high, and meteors came falling from the sky. As they rushed down with billowing smoke, They crashed onto the ground and caused huge tremors. Qin Mu walked through the meteors without any injuries. Life-taking spirits. An old woman waved her white bone banner, and countless spirits flew out. They shuttled back and forth, flooding Qin Mu. Seconds later, walked out of them without a scratch. Blood skeletons. Another person opened up his calabash, and countless bloody skulls flew out. They pounced at Qin Mu, but they also couldn't keep him back. A bunch of idiots. Suddenly a devil expert sneered and said, "There's no use attacking him now that he is comprehending his Tao. Those strange vital Qi eyes in front of him are his comprehension, so destroy them." Everyone's spirit was roused, and they threw their divine arts in that direction. The huge eyes constructed by Qin Mu's vital Qi were instantly shattered. Everyone was delighted when they saw the muddle-headed Qin Mu finally stop. He slowly raised his head. "You guys." Qin Mu was still slightly confused, but it quickly changed into anger. He seemed to be smiling yet not smiling, crying yet not crying. "You guys dared to disturb me when I was comprehending my technique." The devil expert, that had made everyone aware that Qin Mu was comprehending his Tao, immediately became excited and shouted, "Now that he has been broken out of his comprehension, his body movements and divine arts are all much weaker. Kill him." Everyone pounced over. Sword light shone, followed by Qin Mu's furious voice. "You guys are seeking death." The snow-bright sword light burst forth like a small sun, and rapidly expanded. Once it covered over a dozen yards, it rapidly shrunk back. The next moment, it became a sword pellet in front of Qin Mu's heart of brows. It gave off intense rays and burst forth once more. Whoosh! The sword light that burst forth then surpassed 300 yards, and the 100 devil experts shouted furiously. They executed all kinds of techniques to block the terrifying sword light. Sounds of collision rang out one after another. "There's no need to be afraid of him," the devil expert, that had called for breaking Qin Mu's comprehension, shouted out. "I have also experienced comprehending Tao before. During it, the body will become one with the Tao, so any action would contain the marvel of Tao, making it hard to hit the person. But now that he has left the Tao, he's a mere mortal. We can get rid of him easily." The flying swords spread out, and everyone had 70 to 80 of them around them, executing all kinds of basic sword forms. Even though the moves were extremely simple, there were thousands of different ways to attack. Different flying swords had different combinations, and the moves everyone received were different. At that moment, Qin Mu's body moved like a phantom among the 8,000 flying swords, and time seemed to slow down. The flying swords were like petals that were slowly floating in his eyes. The postures, attacks, and divine arts of every devil expert had become abnormally slow. Like what the expert that had broken Qin Mu's comprehension had said, once a person was forced out of the realm of comprehending Tao, they wouldn't be able to maintain the state of body and Tao as one. However, what the expert didn't expect was that Qin Mu hadn't been comprehending his paths, skills, and divine arts. He had been comprehending his technique. He had been entering the path with his technique. Overlord Body 3 Elixir technique was abnormally marvelous from the start, and brought Qin Mu incomparably dense cultivation in magic power. It had also allowed his primordial spirit to surpass those of his peers. Otherwise, Qin Mu wouldn't have been able to slay 4 young, true devils while possessing a inferior corporeal body. Right then he had comprehended his technique, and brought it to the level of path, patching up this problem of his. His corporeal body reached a state of perfection. All his body parts could stand alone or unite, allowing him to combine all of the power and energy in them. His speed reached its extreme and far surpassed what it was previously. The strong devil practitioners, who were defending against the swords, could only see a line of Qin Mu sprinting forward. Kai! Qin Mu grabbed a flying sword and stabbed forward with it. Blood suddenly spurted out from the throat of a devil expert, who had been defending against the attacks of the flying swords around him. By the next instant, Qin Mu had already let go of the flying sword and went to the back of the second person. He picked another sword, and it pierced the back of a devil's heart, penetrating all the way to come out the other side. Boom! Qin Mu clashed face to face with a strong practitioner, who had rushed out from the encirclement of the swords, and their fists collided. Tempest of the 9 dragons had burst forth an instant before their fists collided, but even after, it was still rushing outwards despite the fact that the entire arm, and all the bones of the strong devil practitioner, had broken through the back of his shoulders to shoot off in all directions. When Qin Mu left and stabbed a sword into the heart of another person's brows, only then did his previous divine art hit the strong devil practitioner, and shattered his chest. The back of his shirt blasted into pieces as 4 to 5 divine dragons flew out from his heart, bringing along all his qi and blood. Qin Mu seemed to have entered a world where time flowed slowly. His improvement covered all areas. Blood burst out from the fatal spots of the enemies before the power of their divine arts could even burst forth, turning them into blood flowers slowly blooming in the sky. After the power of the divine arts burst forth, Qin Mu was already no longer there. The divine arts of the enemies had also become abnormally slow in his eyes, and he could see the vital qi transforming into runes before taking the shape of the spell. The explosion of the power of the spell looked abnormally beautiful. The devil divine arts practitioners were all not weaklings, but disciples taught out by devil gods. They were known as the elites among the devils, and besides having great power, their divine arts were also very intricate. Every instant in which the divine arts changed was extremely dazzling and beautiful. Qin Mu admired this kind of beauty very much. Under his 9 heavens' divine eyes, the process of the divine arts blooming was a pleasure to watch. It was especially so when fresh blood splattered in mid-air, forming blood flowers. They decorated the divine arts of the 100 strong devil practitioners, making them seem even more rich and gorgeous. This time, Qin Mu had chosen another path and used a strange method to construct the path of circulation for his technique, reconstructing it. By perfecting Overlord Body 3 elixir technique, he had not merely improved his corporeal body, but also increased the speed of his vital qi circulation, raising the power of his divine arts. He slithered among the 100 strong devil practitioners and executed the most basic sword forms without being garish. However, under the sharp increase in his offensive speed and power, the simple moves had become abnormally effective. In his divine eyes, everyone had become slow. It didn't matter if it were their divine arts or spirit weapons, or the movement of their bodies, they had all become slow. He could clearly see everyone's every flaw. Qin Mu stopped, and his flying swords came whooshing over. They collided with carefree sword in his hand and vanished. Soon, all 8,000 swords became one. Behind him, countless divine arts exploded, and spirit weapons danced in the sky, destroying the tallest trees of a forest below. Rumblings and explosions rang out incessantly. After a moment, everything returned to silence. Then thumping sounds rang out as corpses of the devil experts collapsed left and right. Qin Mu gently rubbed carefree sword in his hand, and it turned into a sword pellet. He turned around and looked at the only standing devil expert on the battlefield. It was none other than the person who had suggested to everyone to break him out of his comprehension. At that moment, the devil's legs were shaky, and huge beads of sweat rolled down his forehead. Fear was written all over his face. Qin Mu put away the sword pellet, and his vital qi flowed out to reconstruct the path of vital qi circulation in the divine eyes. However, no matter what, he couldn't enter that state of comprehending Tao. The devil expert looked at him blankly, not daring to move. The more Qin Mu wanted to enter Tao comprehension, the more he couldn't do so. Agitation grew within him, and he shattered the divine eyes formed by his vital qi with a punch. Boom, 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 boom. He became frantic and struck forward furiously. In an instant, a series of thunderclaps rang out, their sound incredibly concentrated. The air in front of him became a wall which slowly grew thicker and thicker, until it was visible to the naked eye. The wall was pushed forward by the wind from his fist, causing trees to collapse and rocks to shatter. Among the flying sand and rolling stones, the wall was sent over 10 miles away, and a chasm was plowed open. Qin Mu finished venting his anger and suddenly turned his head around. The corner of his eyes landed on the devil expert. You were the one who told them to break me out from my comprehension. You're very smart, aren't you? The devil expert looked at him in a daze, then his will to survive suddenly defeated his fear. He let out a scream and rushed into the sky, transforming into a trail of devil chi to escape. Qin Mu shook his head and layers of formation markings appeared in his eyes. The Milky Way in his pupils swirled frantically. Twang! 2 beams of light from his eyes shone, intercepting the devil chi. A head, 2 legs, and half a body fell. Talk some more. Qin Mu left angrily and shattered a rock that was the height of a human with a kick. After a moment, new figures descended from the sky and landed around the battlefield. In the lead was a devil god with a strong aura. Master, Devil Shiju's disciple is dead. King Yang's disciple has also been killed. Devil King Yu's disciple as well. There's also Xiao Qi's disciple here. Devil King Liu Yi's disciple. Master, 6th junior brother has also been harmed. The devil god gave an angry roar, and violent wind blew through the forest. The fog in the sky tumbled before vanishing straight away. You've killed so many elites of my devil race, and nearly created a gap in the ranks of our 6 directions and 7 stars realm practitioners. Since you dare to behave so atrociously in front of my people, you can forget about walking out of the devil territory. Pass down my orders, release the Yudu divine dogs to search for him. Spare no effort to find him. A devil expert of celestial being realm hesitated for a moment. Master, Fu Riluo's orders were that if we're able to capture him alive, we should capture him alive. If we can't, it's best to leave a complete corpse. Respectable king has said that the body of this human holds a big secret. The devil god swept a cold gaze over, and the devil expert immediately shut his mouth. He hurriedly passed down the orders. Qin Mu heard roars from afar, and his heart shook. He couldn't help muttering that the devils were all brave and good in battle. They were all battle maniacs, and liked to show off their martial prowess. The best way to do it was to kill strong practitioners, so among those that were chasing after Qin Mu, the most excited ones were the experts of 7 stars realm. However, in a single battle, most of the devil god's disciples of 7-star realm had died in his hands. In that case, what level strong practitioners would be chasing after him now? He wasn't considered far from the front lines, and the number of strategic towns and soldiers grew gradually. From them, Qin Mu soon how powerful were the devils. Large black dogs were leaping through the mountains behind him as though they were flying. They carried 5 to 6 strong devil practitioners while sniffing around for his trail. From afar, they looked like small hills with 2 heads. Their eyes were like big red lanterns, and their bodies were filled with muscles. They didn't have just 2 eyes on each head, but 3. The one on the forehead even shot out beams of red light from time to time, scanning the surroundings. Qin Mu's expression became grim. Numerous devil dogs had already found his scent and were gathering together to head toward him. I need to poison them. Only with that can I escape. He flipped through his Daotai sack and found some medicinal herbs. This time, he didn't use his vital qi to transform into a pill furnace to refine the pills. Instead, he took out a sealed furnace and refined his poison there. Qin Mu held his breath and sealed all of his pores. After thinking about it, He took off his shoes and opened up the sealed furnace. He carefully took out some poison and scattered it on his shoes while thinking, even though I don't have the time to refine poison that could poison a devil god, poisoning the devil dogs shouldn't be a problem. He threw down his shoes and left barefooted. After a moment, tiger roars shook the land, and Qin Mu hurriedly turned back to take a look. He saw a god's aura spreading out as a black tiger tore apart the devil dogs and the strong devil practitioners that were on them. Brother Tiger. I can smell Cult Master's scent, the dragon Qin said in the distance. His voice was filled with delight. Come follow me. Cult Master's shoes are even here. What a smelly shoe. Crap. I'm poisoned. This video will end here.